your book will do something to help change this.
Yes,
Hopefully.
yes, and I've seen that in action during the tour. I was stunned because the Ministry of Education had me visit a inclusive school, and I was like, I wasn't even aware it was the Ministry of Education who had invited me, because I was like, okay, this gentleman invited me, and I was not even aware that he was the Minister of Education, and then he invited me to a meeting, a closed door meeting about the state of inclusive education in El Salvador, and I was like, okay, this is beyond what I could have imagined. Every educator there got their own copy of the book, got their own Latin American copy of the book from the editor. So there are more collaborations on the way, but anyway, we're back here now. We're back here. We have started the tour for As I Am, Soy Como Soy, the bilingual edition, which we're celebrating tonight. And it's a continuation of what I've done on the tour, but it's also its own tour in its own way. So,
all right.
So I'm looking.
Christina,
looking forward to it.
Why don't we get started, Max? Is that all right?
Yes.
Christina, we're going to get started, and we're going to introduce you in a certain way tonight. So just hang on, because I have to record this for TV. I have to give a proper introduction. Okay, so everybody, hang on. I'm Harry Durst. I'm with the Robert Frost Foundation, and tonight is our first hoot of the fall season, and we have a great feature tonight. A great poet, Christina Cortez, who is just going to knock your socks off. And I'm not worthy enough to introduce her because I'm simply astounded by her, and I've only known her for a couple of months. And I'm looking forward to getting to know her better. Very seldom in life, I've been in academics all my life, have I met a person as dynamic, gifted, and as powerful as Christina Cortez. And we have a whole bunch of great people here tonight who I admire. And I'm going to start introducing them one by one. And the first one I'm going to introduce is Karen Klein, our board member and former poet laureate of North Andover, who's one of the most literate, gifted people I know, who's the smartest person I know right now, and who I count on many times for help. And Karen is going to do the introductions to another famous poet who we love very much, Rena Espaillat. And tonight we're going to have a real festival of English and Spanish poets. And Rena's going to introduce Christina. So without me wasting any more time, I'm going to introduce Karen Klein, who we love very much. And Karen, you do the honors.
Well, thank you, Harry. I mean, you are one to know too, the famous Harry Durso. We'll talk about you the next time.
All right.
I am so honored to introduce Rena Espaillat. But first, I have to mention real quick to Christina, you are a wonderful ambassador. You are an ambassador of health, of joy, and talent. And I'm so glad we have you tonight. But Rena, I have known Rena for quite a long time. It's almost impossible to explain the value, the talent, the joy. I mean, we have telephone calls that go on and on and on, and laugh a lot. And I think that's one of the greatest medicines in the world is laughter. And between Rena and Paulette, we do a really good job of that, don't we? And your talent is worldwide because you can bring anyone into your sphere and your understanding of the written word because you're such a great teacher. You are such a great teacher, Rena. And I'm so proud to know you, and I don't want to take up any more time. Rena,
She's muted. She's muted.
The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I feel as if I should look in the mirror and make sure that I'm still here because you described a magnificent human being, and I don't know that woman. But anyway, I want to introduce Christina Cortez because that's a mensch. For many years, I've had the pleasure and the privilege of watching Christina grow from a brilliant, highly gifted young author into a mature professional. She's ready to use her talents in the academic world or anywhere else where she feels like it, because the world is hers. She is most fruitfully possible as a creative writer and teacher of writers, and I hope that she ends up doing some such thing. Her work so far, poetry, prose pieces of an autobiographical and historic nature, is invaluable, not just for the information that it conveys, but for its aesthetic competence and for the unbelievable intellectual course of it, the force of everything she writes. In her early work, The Ancient World of the Americas tells its own story. She has buildings telling the stories of the original people. In a new and more effective way, she uses details, figures of speech, language fueled by personal emotional contact with the land of her ancestors, the land of her parents, and the people before her. But this evening, we are celebrating her newest work, As I Am, Soy Como Soy, an account of this daughter of Hispanic immigrants born in the United States, where she has become a successful author and a speaker who is also an expert on life in what many people consider the constraint of a wheelchair. When I read the text of this remarkable poetry collection, I came across a section devoted to the importance of dreaming. And I wondered, a little bit nervously, for just a second if this smiling and effervescent young woman was about to slip into the morass of escapism, because dreams sometimes suggest that. But I was wrong, and I should have known I was wrong right from the beginning. Because the work of Cortez is exactly like its author. There is not an atom of escapism or hopelessness or fear of constraint in either the writing or the writer. She doesn't know about any of those things. On the contrary, what she means by dreaming is the clear inner view that she has at all times of her many intrepid goals. She has goals that sound like something from another world. But you know what? She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's after, and she knows how to get it. She is creating intellectual blueprints when she talks about dreaming. It's the clear inner view of those goals, the blueprints that she is more than intelligent enough to devise, self-confident enough to pursue, and wise enough to deal with what the hard work entails. As for constraints, yes, she does know what they mean. She's had long enough to learn. But she has also learned that she is a match for every one of those. She is one of the goals that she achieves repeatedly through talks, through appearances, through published work, that is teaching others to see the so-called handicapped with a full view of the ambitions, abilities, and determination that their nature provides them. She serves those who need to be reminded of how much they have in order to live full, satisfying lives with courage, with respect for who they themselves are, and for what they can achieve, and how they can enrich their surroundings with the well-deserved dignity of those who can say proudly, I am as I am. Because, like me, the parents of Christina Cortez are immigrants from Latin America, proud of what their daughter has made of herself and how she has given back to this, her birth country, I would like to close this introduction with a poem by Robert Frost. It's about the importance of giving oneself, one's love, one's loyalty and talents to the place where one lives and calls home. Whatever one's background may have been, however one may have landed there. It's called The Gift Outright, and it has been misread for decades now, but it's a marvelous poem, and I'd like to read it in Christina's honor. the gift outright. The land was ours before we were the land's. She was our land more than 100 years before we were her people. She was ours in Massachusetts, in Virginia, but we were England's, still colonials, possessing what we still were unpossessed by, possessed by what we now no more possessed. Something we were withholding made us weak until we found out that it was ourselves we were withholding from our land of living, and forthwith found salvation in surrender. Such as we were, we gave ourselves outright. The deed of gift was many deeds of war, but I would like to say that Christina's deed of gift was many gifts of peace and giving and generosity. To the land vaguely realizing westward, but still unstoried, artless, unenhanced, such as she was, such as she would become. May this country become what it has always been in its spirit, which is a soul of many, many people who have come here from the corners of the earth and who have become the Christina Cortezes of America. Bless you.
Thank you, Rita. Very good. Oh, okay, Christina. Are you ready?
Yes. Yes, I am. I was coming right now.
Okay.
I am floored, honored, and stunned by such an introduction. Thank you, Rina. Gracias, Rina, for
De nada, mi amor.
providing the forward to the book itself, and providing the segue into this reading tonight. I could not have imagined a better introduction, a better segue into what we're going to discuss tonight. As I was considering my reading for tonight, I was just gonna read from the sections as they appear in the book, but I was struck by a certain theme of birthing and rebirthing of oneself throughout the poems in themselves, in the most intimate and the most political of the poems. So I would invite all of you tonight to visit that theme with me, and visit it in your own context, in your own cultures, in your own origins, and see how that plays out and speaks to you tonight. I will be reading from the English portion of the book, but it's equally as introspective in the Spanish. The Spanish version is a translation of the English, but I would say that English and Spanish are in themselves both the originals, because I speak in both languages, but I write in English because I was trained in English. It's through recent practice and through training with Rina herself I've been able to translate these texts myself, in my own words, in Spanish, my other native tongue. So here we go with the English portion. I will be reading from the Kindle edition, from the Kindle version, and to make things easier, I will be reading from the text, but also be sure. I hope you can still hear me and see me. If not, please let me know. Can you all hear me and see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So just with that check, because I can't see you at the moment because with the screen reader itself. So to begin with, I will be reading the first of these poems, which is very short but very direct. And let me just say that this poem refers to a literal birthing of oneself, but also a rebirthing, revisiting of oneself as well. Here we go. I am one flesh, cocoon of life opens, me, bluish skin, no O2. Neonatal, and I see you. June 7th, 1993, Manhasset, New York. Lights flicker, EEGs beep. My life, flesh and shell of metals. I am, I live, I am. For me, the actual process of birthing, of being born itself was a struggle. And let me just say that the act of being born for anyone, if they are chosen to go on that journey, is a victory in itself, and more so for a person with disability, because that itself becomes a complication. The birthing process can be dangerous for those individuals that are struck with disabilities at their birth, because of the oxygen intake and the lack of oxygen thereof. So just to put that in context. And we fast forward 7 years later to another birthing, another assertion of self in this poem, where all my identities converge in one. 2000 was the year when the eye patch was taken off, was the year of the pink, thin-framed bifocal glasses, was the year of learning to use a number 2 pencil with a pink gripper made of putty to steady a shaky hand, was the year of the first attempt at penmanship, chicken scratch, was the year of having no desk. One was built at the back of the classroom. I was row number 6, party of 1. Was the year of the first label maker typewriter, Brother PT95. Yes. Was the year of the first desktop PC. Yes. Was the year of the first black electric wheelchair with metal on-off switch. Yes. I was free to roam, free to be me. I was the only second grader in the whole school with a car. And now I turn to the companion poem to that. That poem was a victory of sorts, victory of identities, victory of being reborn in my identity as a person with disability, visible disability at this point, since I was actually made. I was actually now a full-time wheelchair user as a student, and I was also mainstreamed into education for the first time. So it was a coming to self of sorts, of becoming myself entirely and completely at that young age. Although none of us are actually ourselves until we examine the negative side of what it is to be the dark side at times of what it is to be ourselves completely without apology. So here we go. The cement block. I can't do math without mistakes in each problem every time. I can't do science without getting the clouds mixed up. I can't write logs without grammar mistakes corrected in red ink. I can't do geography without labeling a map wrong. Can't walk, can't run. I'm stuck. I am overweight. Too many strings like Pinocchio. I can't do anything without help. I am shrinking in the cracked mirror. I gain speed in the wheelchair. Can't keep up in class. Always using extra time. But I watch and listen to what others do. I am on the sidelines. I watch the other kids play. I am on a cement block next to a wall with a putty ball in my left hand. Sometimes some kids start to come over and talk a bit. And with that, I will skip forward to the introspective portion that Rena mentioned, which is called Brooding My Thoughts. And I will be reading from the section called 12:12, and also a later section that's called 3:45 p.m. These are the thoughts that sometimes come to us when we are least thinking about them, going about our day, and just pop into our heads, as many of you might have experienced yourselves throughout the years, throughout time, and throughout your days as well. So here we go. 12:12. My body is a collection of cells dividing to form the organs, the muscles, the skeleton, and the skin that keep me from being a mass of flesh and fluid. It also carries my brain around. It is the command center of my body, sending out signals to my extremities, to tell my extremities what to do. For most people, this process is seamless. There is no delay between a command and its execution. In my case, some of these signals get misfired and mixed up. At times like this, my body ceases to be an eloquent machine and is a sputtering collection of parts that make a whole, just housing my inner self. My body then is a shell, inconsequential. 12:18 p.m. My body takes up the space it occupies, but it is my space. My space is not only physical, it is also my mind. And one of the purposes of my existence is to study the humanities. That is encapsulated by Phi Beta Kappa's motto, love of learning is the guide of life. My life experience without literature, history, music, philosophy, and art is limited. But through them, my world expands and goes beyond my home and my neighborhood. The humanities have given me an understanding of the past, an appreciation for the present, and a hope for the future, for what the future might hold. My body is the space I occupy in the world, but my mind is the territory that I claim for myself. So, to my body, I formally leave this epigraph. Feet What do I need you for when I have wings to fly? Frida Kahlo. And if I may, I will skip over to our signature poet of tonight, and skip over to Robert to a reflection inspired by Robert Frost himself. Through the often popularly misattributed, misquoted, and misunderstood, The Road Not Taken. But before that, I will enter that with a quote from another well-renowned Bostonian of sorts, Henry David Thoreau. The pull of anticipation and the push of discipline. Henry David Thoreau. The difference between wishful thinking and the achievement of a dream is action. Acting upon a need or desire to fulfill a dream is the way to make it part of your reality. Through action, dreams become your reality, and your reality becomes a living dream. It is through labor and struggles that the fruit of success gets sweeter to taste. The road to the dream might be long and bumpy, but it is worth the time. The journey is all about persistence. How did Robert Frost put it? Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And I will pause as a segue to the most inclusive and intrinsic part of this poetry collection, which is the cento use of the cento technique throughout the text, where I cite and make the quotes of other people with and without disabilities my own. Let me just say that these centos have been built over years of readings and absorptions of other texts, the classics, the new classics, everything in between, and they converge. The centos converge to make not only a manifesto of the life I've lived, but also the life of others, the life of other people with disabilities and other people who have striven to contribute to society in their own way, having or not having disabilities. Let me just say that for people with disabilities, it is crucial to note that most of the community of people with disabilities does not have in the least its reference of history, its own sense of its own history. Most of the people that we know of, Beethoven, FDR, etc., have either been alleged to have or had hidden disabilities that society made them hide for purposes of decorum in the time in which they lived, and that made them subject to hiding part of themselves away. But let me say that now, as a collective, in these cento segments, they come together to reveal the hidden history of people with disabilities that in this poem, that in this set of poems, has become a sort of manifesto of my life, but as well as can be a manifesto for anyone striving to achieve their goals, their dreams, their aspirations. Anyone who's looking for self-development can find them in these lines. They're not just for this book entirely is not only for people with disabilities, although it is filtered through the lens of a person with disability who happens to a poet who happens to have a disability who is filtering through that lens. But through that lens is opening up to all readers as well. And that's what I hope you see in these poems, as well as the chantos themselves. And without further segue, I will be reading from the chantos themselves. Miser. Pain is the price I have to pay for underworked and stiffened muscles. Broken glass cuts into me with every movement. My body doesn't measure up, but my mind is within my control. Knowledge is my fuel. My castle in the air holds my dreams. And I have the key. It is a small golden one with a sapphire in the center. I'll get it out of that cluttered drawer and go inside and open the double-edged door. In that world, I will embrace my dreams. In that world, I'll unlock my future full of possibilities. Achievement will spur me on as I go. The more I do, the more my life will be a burst of color. I will live in a world of my own making. Acting, creating, working to make it a reality. Nothing will work unless I do. I may not control all the events that happen to me, but I can decide not to be reduced by them. Pain, I'll endure. I turn my back on the teasing, the shame, the low expectations, the disappointment, and the failures that came with false hopes. Other footsteps have come before me. Their faded imprints are the foothold on this road of life. I must be firm and move forward, strengthen myself up quickly, and dare to defy obstacles. I'll shove these dark memories into the black hole of forgotten things. Turn to the sun and do. I am walking on a path that is all my own, with what I have learned from my predecessors. I have to gather up tools that will serve me well on my journey. I must be resolved and move forward, strengthening myself up to overcome the challenges. Life itself can be summed up in a moment of decision. Turning the screws of fate that twist and turn into tortured flesh, I must move in the world as if the life I am building is not built with stone, but with sand, acting in a quick, decisive motion to set the sands of my time in place. It is not true that people stop pursuing dreams because they grow old. They grow old because they stop pursuing dreams. There is no life worth living without the pursuit of dreams. I live my life by following my dreams and not sitting around while life goes on. I act, I chase them down, I grab them. Chasing dreams is the right of every human being. despite the setbacks in life. That is the first canto that is titled Mi Ser, which in Spanish has a multiplicity meaning: myself, my soul, my essence, my being. Any way you want to read it, it is complete and it is entirely itself. So I will. How much time do we have for another set of readings? Do we have time for
Christina, go
two
ahead.
or
Go ahead. We have time. Go ahead.
another two or another three? Here we go then. It is one. This is from the sequence called Incapacity. One. It is my understanding that for some, it is a terrifying prospect to have a fully functional mind inside a body that is locked and keeps you stationary. I have the deficiency of a function which ought to have been perfect with me as it is with others. This was no slight trial, and it is more severe on an artist than on anyone else. The simple activities that are necessary for the creation of art become harder. Typing or holding a paintbrush, for example. Just because some tasks get harder doesn't mean they can't get done some other way. When the front door is slammed in your face, you must go through the back door. And if that door is shut too, go through a window. Just find a way to do it. Two. This is chapter two. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving forward. And I will skip over to number 3, to number 14, which some of you have heard before, and end with number 18. Just give me a moment. 14. Twelve. 13. Here we go. 13. Chapter 13. When it comes to art, I am not conscious of any handicap or disability. In spirit, I am untrammeled. My will forges on ahead despite the conditions of the world that I face. I am full of ability. But for this body that I have, I must depend on others in the physical world. In my mind, I must depend on my capacity to retain what my ears have gathered, to reconstruct my world as it should be. The world, as we see it, is like a painting, full of color, with each added stroke. But when we reflect about the life we've created, we can see a portrait of ourselves just finished that has light and shadow. The chiaroscuro that makes up our life cannot be fully appreciated if the canvas we are working on does not show the traces left by the palette knife, the perspective with which we portray ourselves, is always changing. The portrait is never finished. Maybe even when we take our last breath. And I will close with the most, to me, the most revelatory poem in this section, which is number 18. Give me a, let's say, yes. Okay, yeah. Life is either a great, this is Cento 18, and with this I'll close. Life is either a great adventure or nothing at all. Although in life we must suffer, the greater part of life is also full of opportunities to overcome those obstacles. Keep your face toward the sun, and you will not feel the chilling winds of despair or see the shadows of doubt. No pessimist ever discovered the secret of the stars, or sailed to an uncharted land, or opened a new doorway to the human spirit, to the possibility of the human spirit. You may write of me and say what you will, with bitter, twisted words. You may trod me down in the dirt of your disdain, but I will rise. Why are you beset with gloom when I have diamonds in my mind? Did you want to see me broken, with bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, and weakened by soulful cries? No more will I be downtrodden. You may hurt me with your words, cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness or disregard, but still I will rise. The battles that I have fought behind my forehead are the ones that force me to push onward as I go through this life. To appreciate the light of life, maybe we have to know darkness first. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, Christina. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe at the end, Christina, we're going to do a few more things, but at the end, can you end tonight with a poem? Will you pick a poem to end tonight for us?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I'm going to do some business now, and then we'll come back to you, okay?
Yes.
Max? Are you there, Max?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, Max, we have two options here. We can go to open mic, or we could go to a discussion period. How much time do you want to go on?
I'm open. I just first want to say how moved I am by that extraordinary reading, Christina. That was just remarkable. Thank you for sharing that. Oh my. So I'm just taking a moment to take all of that in because that was just truly remarkable.
Do you think it's in our best interest that we can discuss this for a few minutes? I mean, would you like to end the program tonight with that? I'm sure other people would like to share their feelings too, huh?
Yeah, I think I'd love to open it, but I would love to pass it to Rena. I know you made such a wonderful introduction that you don't necessarily need to react afterwards, but would love to just pass to you to see if you have any reactions or comments.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I'd like to mention that I did not mention before is the honesty. It's very hard to be 100% honest this way, to admit not only what you are, but what you wish you were and what you cannot be. And all of the things that are negative in life, because we all have them. We all have them. We all have body parts that don't work. We all have mental problems that keep us where we wish we could leave from. But there has been perfect honesty here this evening, and that's very hard to find. It's refreshing in itself to know that we can tell each other the truth, and that the truth will not make us sorry that we told it, but glad because we're human and we can all share it. I love you.
Thank you, Rena. Those were very kind words. I could add some things. I've gone through a lot of things that I'm familiar with disability and having some medical conditions. And I remember a young girl coming to me at school, end of high school, and she had just been diagnosed. I'm not going to get into the significance of the diagnosis, but she was just diagnosed with a very serious illness, which I have, and she wanted to talk to me. And she came up to me at the library and she says, "I have one question for you." I said, "What is it?" She says, "Are you afraid?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "I'm afraid every day of my life. But I'll tell you how afraid I am. I'm afraid enough that I have a BA in English. I'm afraid enough that I have a master's in theater. I'm afraid enough that I'm an award-winning television writer. I'm afraid enough that I have taught for 35 years. So, yeah, I'm afraid. But you know what? I want you to be afraid like that. Because if you're not afraid, you're not realizing the seriousness of it. But if you are afraid like that, then you're going to live your life." And I think that's what Christina is trying to teach me tonight, is no matter how you feel, what goes on behind our foreheads is what counts. And I'm going to think about that tonight, Christina, because I struggle. I have different things. I just spent the day in Mass General today, but thank God it turned out good. But to see your whole life on computer screens, to me, is something out of a sci-fi movie. And I really have a hard time with that. But I got through it, and I'm here tonight with you guys because I'm determined to live. And I'm afraid that way. So that's my contribution tonight, is I've learned to be afraid in a new way. So I like other people to chip in some thoughts. And anybody like to speak? Rich, you have anything to say about maybe the kids at school that you learned from?
I do, but I think Paulette is raising her hand. I'd
Oh, yeah, good. Okay.
love to hear from her first. Go ahead, Paulette.
Well, Christina, you are an inspiration. Such an inspiration. You are unstoppable.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. Your spirit is so far beyond what other people's spirits can ever aspire. But even if they can't aspire to be where you are, you will inspire them to be so far beyond where they are at this point. And that is worth every word you have placed on the page. Every word. I can tell a little story.
She's a natural teacher.
A natural teacher. And you teach by welcoming in. You draw everybody into you. So thank you. Thank you, Christina. Ooh, are you speaking? You're muted. You're muted.
As always, my pleasure. I was thinking today that I was stunned, absolutely stunned by your reading with her at the Lawrence school and assembly where we were. Had I not driven 3 hours in traffic to see that reading, I would not be here tonight. So I'm indebted to both of you. I'm indebted to Harry as well for this event, and thank you, Paulette, for your words. They are very honest and very true. Thank all that you have said tonight, all of you. Thank you.
Richard, what do you have to say?
Well, I could probably talk for an hour, but I'll limit. Christina, I'm deeply grateful to you for being here, for the vulnerability. I had a pen in my hand. I kept trying to write things down, but they were brilliant lines were going by so fast. I will live in a world of my own making lands with me. Chasing dreams is the right of every human being lands with me. And as I heard the words of Frost and Maya Angelou embedded in your poetry, they took on completely new meaning for me, and I'm really grateful for that. I work at Lawrence High School. I'd love to arrange an appearance of you at Lawrence High School for my students if we can make that happen. So if that's something you're interested in, I'd love to see if we could facilitate that. But thank you so much for tonight.
Of course, anything that happens from tonight, I'm open to it, and I would encourage every single one of you. If you do not carry a text of your own, I do encourage you for your own mental libraries to get a copy of the book, not because it's mine, but because of the fact that it carries with it all the words of others who have built up generations of people with and without disabilities who have been inspirations to me, but also to others as well. They are part of our universal canon, and I think everyone should have a copy of this text because of the reason that it gives voice to the canon in a new way. So, thank you for that. Thank you.
I think Max, I'm going to do a summation now, and maybe we can end with a poem with Christina. Is that okay?
Kathleen, you had some input. I saw you put something in the chat. Did you want to speak that out loud?
Sure. I very much appreciated the way in which Christina says the sphere of the aesthetic, art, poetry, visual, sound, that these are elements which can be shared and which can be accessed by everyone despite our condition, our individual differences, our language base, our geographical base, and our body base. And it's really important to have a voice there that reminds us where freedom is to be found within ourselves and in the shared word. So I thank Christina very much for her strong work tonight.
Thank you for those comments. Very nice.
Christina, in my day job, one of the brands that I look after as part of my company is called Upworthy. And, we aspire to tell stories and share things that lift up the best of humanity. And I'm just absolutely struck by your voice and your message and how courageous you are. And I would love to explore ways that we might be able to share your message through the Upworthy platform. And also really just truly inspired by what you shared and how your experience and the reality of it brought some courage to me. I think I'm sort of embarrassed sharing this, but I'm a father of two young daughters, and one of them is just 10 months old right now. She can't even stand up, but she stands up holding on to things, and soon hopefully will walk. And I think of these sort of insecure dreams of a parent with a really frail child and, you know, who's young. These human beings, the first 9 months, they almost should still be in the womb, but they're out in the world. And I think of the like wishes of, you know, that this child is able-bodied and this child and that I loved how you talked about the light and the shadow, and these wishes are also fears. And I think that your sharing of you know, today was just so powerful in seeing the transcendent human spirit and feeling how small some of these fears of constraints are. I mean, they're real. I don't want to downplay them, but your message, I just felt so incredibly moved by, and I'm eager to get a copy of this book. If somebody could put the name of the book in the chat, and we'll make sure for the Lawrence Public TV version of this that we have the name of the book as well. I think that would be wonderful. But I'll be following up with you as I am. Okay. And you're speaking, Christina, but we can't hear you. I'll give it to you back.
Let me just say that it is available through Amazon, but if you get a copy through my website, ChristinaCortez.com, you will get a signed copy from me with your address having been provided through the by theater. So you will have a signed copy from me as well. So
wonderful.
So
Max has brought up family. I wasn't going to say this, although it's been in my mind all night. I think it's important to talk about family because what you're feeling is universal, Max. Everybody worries about the child. Now, this could have been a very different life if she had not had the parents that she has. Those people did not encourage fear or timidity or the desire to hide anything or the desire to think herself less than she is. These people said, you want to travel? We're going to travel. You want to do this? We're going to do it. It was yes all the way. And it was a yes that opened a life to somebody who deserved that life. And I think that we need to encourage parents also to be open and generous and, if fearful, honestly fearful, but for heaven's sake, don't spread your fear where it isn't already. Because that's what her parents have done. They have been so good. I don't think anything could have been better than that upbringing.
And if I may, just to add to that, now knowing that we are on Lawrence Public TV for the general audience, let me just say that that every child having or not having a disability is your child. And let me just say that that child was meant to have you, not out of a spiritual sense, but because you are strong enough to have that child and to raise that child and to be who they and to have them be who they are meant to be without apology, without excuse. And the disability is simply part of the package. I have heard of parents ashamed of their children because they have a disability and they are imperfect in the eyes of church, in the eyes of God, in the eyes of whatever they believe, or in the eyes of their culture, even my own dearly beloved Latin American culture, sidelines, or disavows people with disabilities simply because of their different bodies and simply because of their different minds. And let me say that diversity is part of the package. They did not ask to be designed this way. They did not ask to have these conditions. And anyone, not just the children, anyone can have a disability at any point in their lives. You can be run over by a car, bit by a dog, whatever it is. not to be morbid, but you can be disabled at any one time, temporarily or permanently, by no fault of your own. And let me just say, it's part of your design, part of your body, part of your self. It's something to be ashamed of. It's not something to be hidden away. It's something to be expressed, to be said.
Yeah.
Well, I think Christina, I want to just do a summation because we can't go on too much. We're going to have you obviously back. And I think Richard and Max are going to start extending your influence even more. And I just, as a summation tonight, I think two wonderful things happened tonight. Not only do we invite someone like Christina in to share their innermost thoughts to us, I'll share a story that I learned from an actor from Kabuki Theater in Japan. Kabuki Theater is a very stylized version.
Thank you, Max. Of you who have been part of this. I think it's been an unforgettable evening.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, I just want to say that I was leaving to get ready to do a performance, and he bowed to me. And I said, "Why are you bowing?" He says, "Because you're giving part of your soul to the human race." And tonight, Christina, you gave part of your soul to the human race. And we're going to do everything we can now to get this on TV and share it around the Merrimack Valley so your voice will grow and grow and grow. And all of us tonight who are in the honor of your presence are going to remember this and really be thankful to you for sharing your life with us tonight. So on behalf of the Robert Frost Foundation, I want to thank you. I want to thank Rena. And all the guests tonight, Karen and Paulette and Max and Richard and all the great people, Karen Klein and all the people who joined us. And I'm going to ask you, Christine, at the end of the night, with a poem of your choosing.
Yes, I will be ending it with a poem that is very, very in tune with the situation that we find ourselves in with COVID, but also with in the spirit of liberty and emancipation. I will be sharing the poem titled Spring in the first section. Give me a moment. So here we go. Yes, here we go. Spring, April 2022. Spring, birds burst with beautiful melodies. Birds burst with beautiful melodies. Outdoors, a male canary, a minuscule golden ball of feathers, heralds. Let us all venture out into the open. For spring has come at last, and our enclosed lives have come to a close. Thank you very much. That was spring in the first section of the book itself, and that will be the closing poem for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. On behalf of everyone tonight, I want to sincerely thank you for joining us tonight and sharing your beautiful craft with us. And on behalf of the Robert Frost Foundation, it was certainly an honor to start our season off with you tonight. And we're going to welcome you back many times, I'm sure. So on behalf of us, I'd like to say good night to everyone. Anybody has anything else to say? Max? Anybody?
Thank you. I'm back, and I'm sure it was wonderful.
All right. So I want to just say good night to everyone. And we're very grateful, Christina, and Rena, and everyone who joined us tonight for sharing their thoughts. And we're going to do this again. And we're looking forward to Richard Gorman's community read next month, October 10th, live event at the Lawrence Public Library. And we'd like everyone to come in person and see it. And it's going to be on cable access as well. So we're looking forward to many more events with the Robert Frost Foundation. So
I'd like to say thank you. I'd like to say thank you before you close. I'd like to say thank you to Evelyn and Carlos Cortez.
All right. All right. Do you have anything else? We want to certainly thank you too for your sharing and